Hello, everyone. We are live. And as you know, today is Thursday. Today is Thursday, September 28th. And as you know, I have my weekly live every Thursday. And here we have another one with another awesome guest. By the way, if you are joining us live, would you, in the comments down below, hashtag live? Or if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay, and tell me where you're coming from. As you know, I'm always I'm in Mexico. I live in Mexico. This is where I do my interviews. My awesome guest today is from the USA. We will find out exactly where in the USA. And, and also, one more thing, StreamYard permission. There is a strip either above this video or below this video. Click on that so that you give StreamYard permission to use your name, because we want to interact with you and we want to know who is joining us. It is so fun to be able to interact. You may ask questions, you may write comments, and if you don't feel comfortable, interacting with us, you may just want to react. Then, oh, send us hearts because we love hearts and we know how it helps the algorithms. So, anyway, let's just go ahead. As you well know, I usually like to tell you how I meet my awesome guests, and we met online. My guest and I met online, and we have as a a coach, a mentor, someone we look up to, someone we follow by the name of Maya Comerota, a class world coach. And that is where we went. But I remember something special about this guest. I remember how she used to vibrantly love to dance on the Zoom calls. So, and she always caught Maya's attention that way. I think she just loves to dance. She is a dreamer. She's a creator. She's a dancer. She's a momster. So, without any further ado, let's bring on my guest, Jill Douglas. Jill, how are you?
Hello. Oh, I'm doing great. And that was just awesome. I was listening to the introduction and I was like, oh, that's so awesome. I love it. Thank you.
Jill, tell me, you're in the USA. What part of the USA are you in?
I live in Georgia. I live just outside of Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay, were you born there?
No, I was not. I do not have a Southern twang. I don't have all the P's and Q's of the South. I actually grew up in Michigan.
Okay.
And then I went out west to Colorado as soon as possible, which was after college. And then I eventually kind of made my way here to the South. So I'm just all over the place.
So you are a momster. Tell us a little bit about your background. I mean, you were born in Michigan. You end up in Georgia. Tell us a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, totally. So honestly, journeys are so interesting, aren't
They
they?
are.
Um, I I absolutely love Michigan, and I visited Colorado because I had relatives out there when I was in grade school, and I was immediately in love. Like the mountains, they just have my heart. It's just where I love. And so after college, I mean, I went as far west in Michigan as I could go. I went to the far. This is Michigan. Like I went right over here, but that wasn't far enough. So I headed out west afterwards. And I lived in Boulder for a long time, got married there, had one of my kids there, went to Oregon for a little bit, loved it there too, came back to Colorado and had another child. And I was actually, my former husband and I were in a really tough place in our relationship. And I gave it away by saying former, but we moved to Georgia to have familial support. His family is from Georgia. And that was over 7 years ago. And again, sometimes you look back and you're like, what the heck? I am no longer married to him. And we do have two beautiful children, and I'm, solo parenting them most of the time. But that's how it goes. One of them's 14, one of them's 9, two
Wow.
boys. It's rocking and rolling over here all the time.
I bet, because everybody knows, having teenagers in the house, they they decide, yeah, they really direct your life and your life activities. Tell me, it's very interesting, and I really commend you for being where you are because of familiar support. It's so important for the children. Divorce is hard, no matter who has left, whom has left who, and
Mhm.
the fact that there are children involved is so important for them to have that the bigger family support. So,
Yeah.
I commend you for doing that.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
Thank
So,
you.
so, um, so tell us a little bit about your journey, because now I am just kind of in awe. You call yourself an alignment coach, and I like that so much because coaches help people align with their purpose. That
Mhm.
everybody's but you kind of use that word very strongly, and I like that. So, can you tell us a little bit about your journey
Yeah.
to becoming a coach?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because I choose a word every year to kind of center me for the
Mhm.
year. And this year it's align. It's the
Ah,
word
good.
align. And hey, Carmen, so good
Carmen.
to see you here. Um, you know, when I was married, I I honestly lost touch of who I was.
Okay.
I so this so I'm just say it this way. I'm going to start right in the middle of the story. There was a day I took my older son to kindergarten. We lived, just right down the street from the school. So I take him to school and I come back home and I come in and my husband is sitting on the couch and he has like a bowl of food or something in his hand. And our little one, who was a year, was toddling about and he was chewing on something. And I, just didn't think anything of it for a moment, but he kept gnawing on something. And so I reach in there and I pull out this whole almond. And I say to my husband, I said, you cannot give this to him. He has no teeth. This is a choking hazard.
Right.
And it scared the crap out of me because he then said, oh, it is? Like he was so out of it.
Oh,
And in
wow.
that moment, I just, like, my heart just like burst because I was like, I can't do this anymore. He was having alcohol problems and struggling with depression. He wasn't
Wow.
working. I was unknowingly a codependent in a codependent relationship. And I had gotten so far from trusting my own knowing, my own intuition of
Mhm.
saying something is wrong here. And I'd ask about it and question him and he would just deny it. And I was in such a place that I trusted him over my own self.
Right.
And that day I was just like, I can't,
Yes.
this
Yeah.
is not it. And so honestly, like my journey back to myself through separation and divorce and moving to a place where I really only knew his family and
Right.
then we got divorced and that family, I'm not like, there's no bad feelings, but I'm not involved in a lot of the things anymore
Mhm.
because he doesn't want me there. So
Yeah.
my family, my support, is not there. And I've had to create more of that. But the process back to knowing myself, loving myself, figuring out who I am now, that's alignment with self. I remember one day, yet, but we'd been separated for a little while. I was living in an apartment by myself with the kids. And I remember I was sitting on my couch and I had this moment where I was just like, I like me. I like living by myself and making my decisions, and I can decide if I want someone to come visit and stay or not. And like, I like being my own sovereign
Right.
being. And I had returned in some fundamental way to knowing that I'm okay and I love myself.
Right.
And that was beautiful. Teresa, hello.
Great, Teresa. And Carmen said, such a powerful story, Jill. I did the same. She trusted the man more than herself. And so thank you, Teresa, Brenda. Hello, Lucy and Jill. Great. I'm sorry we interrupted you, but I hope you can take
Yeah.
off, yeah, to work.
No.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so that was like, having those moments of really returning to me and feeling
Right.
that like that clunk, that harmony in my own body, right? That to me is alignment. I call it like your golden core. You have this
Right.
like almost like a organ pipe or something running through. And when you hit it on something that like resonates, there's like a boom, 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 like it's a beautiful feeling. If it's not resonating, it's like, it's like, oh gosh, stop, not that, and that's what we get to feel in our bodies. So that's the alignment piece. And I have found a lot of that in nature, hence, doing a lot of work in nature, helping people come into nature, because it's just a space where so much of our daily responsibilities and troubles and worries and technologies, like it just gets to fall away. And then you are right there, which is you and source, and that's it.
Wow, so that's why, nature for you is such a big, an important element in everything that you do, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
Because
for
it
sure.
resonates. Oh my
Yeah.
God, what a story. That is a great story. And I'm sure there are a lot of women out there who need to hear this because, we often, just like Carmen said, that she also, trusted the man more than
Yeah.
herself, and that happens when people are married,
Yeah.
and we as women tend to lose ourselves,
Yeah. We do. And it's just, I want women to hear this too. There's nothing wrong with you if that's happened for you. There
Yeah,
is nothing wrong with you. We have been for generations bred into being of service to others. That
right,
is the nice thing, the right thing, the good thing, right? And also we like, there's the divine masculine, there's the divine feminine energies in our body. They do a beautiful dance. But that feminine, and if you are a woman or identify as a woman, like most times that's stronger. Not always, certainly not always. We have both the energies. But when it is, life to flow, we want life to feel good, we want people to be happy. So we can tend to arrange ourselves such that life outside of us falls into place, but it's just the opposite. Like
right,
we have to come here for that alignment, and then the outside world actually will adjust. But the first place is here. But we as women, we just, we aren't always taught that or supported in that.
right.
Certainly, from previous generations, I think, we are seeing the shift. I call it the a she-evolution,
Mhm.
honestly, because we're really shifting as
Yeah,
women.
yeah,
But so don't, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Yeah, Carmen, there's no shame.
that's
There's
right,
no shame in that. I stayed for way longer than I needed to or didn't confront it. But you know what? It was part of my process. It was
right.
part of my learning and coming back to me.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that because that's very, very powerful. And I love the fact that you had this aha moment is I love myself. It's like, oh my God, that moment, like, yeah. And the energy within me is going to take me where I need to go.
Mhm,
you know.
mhm.
So tell
Yeah.
us how you have a business called Soul Traverse. All right. So tell us a little bit about. I understand the word soul traverse. There's got to
Mhm.
be. Sounds like there's a transformation here
Yeah.
coming about. How did all that come into existence?
Such a
And
great question.
uh, and
Such
what's
a good question.
the primary mission of that? Also,
And the what? What was that last part?
the primary mission of
Okay.
the business. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
So, um, okay, so this is how it came. So when I first started in this world of, oh, okay, I'm going to be a single mom and I need to do something with my life, I was like, what do I do? And I actually partnered with a network marketing company for a while. And even though I enjoyed parts of that, I got to a point where I was like, I was telling people, hey, this is access to living a life you love and doing things that you would love. And I recognized I had a dream in my heart to bring women out in nature and help
Mhm.
them to discover their own spirit and their own strengths. And I wasn't doing it. I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, someday. And I wasn't doing anything about it because, I had all the excuses that looked really good. I'm a single mom. How am I
Right.
going to do that? I don't have a lot of money. I don't have a lot of support. Okay. So my big vision of, hey, let's go out into the boonies and really be out there. Maybe I can't do that one, but I could do something. And so, my first step was say, okay, A, I'm doing it. B, I chose a state park in Georgia and I rented a cabin and I said, come on. And it was literally during COVID. It was October of 2020. And I was like, I'm doing it. And I had 3 people show up, one of whom flew to Georgia for it. And I was like, yes, like
Wonderful.
this is needed. So,
Yeah.
and the name of it was interesting because I was sitting with a friend of mine at Whole Foods and we were just chatting and I had this sweatshirt on from Traverse City, Michigan, which is where my family lives.
Okay.
Beautiful place. And the top of it said Traverse, because it was like Traverse City, right?
Right.
And he was like, what about this for a name? I was just sharing my dream, my vision. He was like, Soul Traverse. And I was like, oh, a
Oh,
journey of the soul. Soul Traverse. You're like a traverse is like when
that's
you go a journey, you go somewhere. And I'm like, that's it. That's what we're doing. This is a journey of your soul and for your soul. So let's do that, And so that's how the name came about. And from there, yeah, just the mission really is to help women connect to their spirit, their strength, and do it in the community of women, out in the power of nature and just within themselves. I do virtual things because
yeah.
then I can, bring in more people. But really, thanks, Carmen. Yeah, thank you. Yes. Yeah. So that's the story.
Oh my God, thank you it's a wonderful story. I love stories, and I love to find out where these names come from. They don't come out of nowhere, there's always a story behind it. It's so important. Um, it's really important what you're saying about nature. I was having dinner with friends last night, and we were talking about the in-house generation, how
Mm,
we are so indoors now. Wake up, we do our business indoor. We
yeah.
hardly go outdoors anymore
Yeah.
because of our business.
Yeah.
And so connecting with nature is really connecting with the spirit that's all around us. You know,
Yes.
there's no other way to do it as I can see. So,
No,
you know,
you're
this is
right.
powerful. Oh my
Yeah.
God. So, as you're doing all this, what are some of the common struggles or maybe issues that women face when it comes to, maybe finding their purpose or their inner guidance? Because some of us, it's revealed, just like you that day. It's like, oh, I love myself, and I can do. But sometimes it doesn't happen for some women. So
Yeah.
talk about some of those struggles or issues that women
Yeah.
face.
Yeah, for sure. I will do that. And just, you know, to touch on one thing you said with the power of nature,
Mhm.
I absolutely, and there's no way you cannot know it when you go out into it. And I'm just going to tell you, like, even if you don't live in a place where you're like, there's nature everywhere, you can find something. You can find a flower, a
Oh,
plant, a weed. I mean, there have been some times in my life where I've been having like a hard time, and I used to take my digital camera. Now I take my phone sometimes, but I will go out on like a slow walk and I will just take photos of something in nature. Usually it's the macro, like the tiny things, right?
right, right.
Because there's such beauty all around us all the time. And that slows you down to notice it. And I also used to take walks in cemeteries. Highly recommend it. At least, I mean,
I used to do that.
strange.
Yeah.
As a child, I mean, as a young person, I used to love taking walks in cemeteries. I still do, because it was just a reminder that like everything passes,
Yeah.
the hard, the good, everything passes.
Right.
And the flow of life is there. So like be in this moment, but it'll also pass. Anyway, I just found it comforting. Cemeteries.
Wow.
Um, yeah, strange. So women's issues that women face. Lucy, I'm telling you, there's no end. Some of the biggest ones that I hear and that I love helping women with, and I will say this flat out, I deal with them too. This is how I know they're out there.
Right.
This is how I know how to speak to them sometimes, because I have them too, right? So some of it's shame and guilt. Those are really big ones. To
Mhm.
me, guilt is when, yes, Teresa, you're so right. Teresa takes gorgeous, gorgeous photos and lives in a beautiful place. So everybody should Teresa and look at her photos and find out about her. She's a wise woman. Um,
Thank you.
yeah. So shame and guilt. To me, guilt is when we're believing something that's not actually the truth,
Mhm. Yeah.
usually, right? The truth of who we are, and we feel bad about something. For women, a lot of times it's, that doing something for self and not for somebody else. That's a whole nother thing we deal with, right? I feel
Right.
exhausted because I'm always doing and doing, and I'm never first on my list. I'm always last on my list. Well, I love you out there. You're the one putting you last on your list. And it's because you don't feel like you're worthy of going higher.
Yeah.
And you are. You are. Um, shame that there is something inherently wrong with you. I'm putting together a podcast series where women are just going to be sharing from their real stories of like all the taboo topics that we just hold in,
Wow.
Abortions, rape, abuse, infidelity, debt. Because guess what?
They're
We
all
need to share about these. You're not alone. You're not the only one. And there's nothing wrong with you because you experienced this,
right.
and your access to what you really want in life, like feeling good, loving your life, having close partnerships and love relationships and abundance. Like you get access to that when you deal with the crap, when you deal with those things that are hard, but there just needs to be more spaces for that to be a thing. So
Right.
shame, guilt, and it's like a reclaiming of yourself. Like you're made whole, you're made complete and perfect. There's nothing wrong with you. And so it's really coming back to that space of wholeness within you. Time for themselves. I mentioned that a lot. Oftentimes we just run ourselves ragged. I think we have, up until recently, really been trying to be women in a man's
Absolutely.
suit. And I'm like, yeah,
That's what
I
we
mean,
were taught. You have to be, if you're going to be in corporate, if you're going to be doing, out there, then you have to be just like the men.
right. And it's like, down with that. Like, no, we're not made to just be baking in the kitchen with our, shake and bake oven here, but we're also not supposed to be dudes. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, well, I'm a woman and like, I can open my own door. Yeah, I can open my door, but you should open it because I'm a woman and it shows respect and honor. I would actually open the door for somebody too. It's not that. It's just, we give life to this world, to the feminine, the divine. So, we've tried
And
to
it's
fit ourselves
honoring the divine in the other also,
honoring that it's a dance,
Yeah,
people.
it is.
We don't have to slam men or be like, I don't need you. I used to have a shirt back in college and it said, a woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle. And people, when they would read it, there would be this pause of, but a fish doesn't need oh. And eventually I stopped wearing it because I matured a little, but also I recognized in a beautiful partnership, it's not a need, it's a compliment. You complement each other, you fill you and then you complement. But
Absolutely.
other issues. So the not feeling like we can just show up as our full authentic self. Someone's passing my house with a bunch of bass. Do you hear that?
A little bit. I don't know what that is, but
someone is driving by with their boom box in their car. That's bass. Atlanta people. Sorry.
So, we're live. It's fine. It's okay. So Teresa says, wow, those podcast topics are, and those struggles can only heal when they are allowed to come out on the surface in a safe place. So good. I do want to talk about the podcast in a minute, but one of the things I'd like to do, if it's possible, could you share maybe a success story or maybe a memorable transformation from your work as a coach? Or, you've done retreats already as a retreat leader that illustrates the impact that you have on women's lives?
Yeah, sure. Oh my gosh. I'm just like, which one do I share?
Yeah, which one do I start? Where do I start? Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to give a little overview and then I'll share one specifically that I think is so powerful because it's so common. Okay. So, I mean, people who've worked with me, I mean, they go from anywhere from feeling like, okay, I'm not as stressed anymore. Okay, I'm taking care of myself now. Okay, I know my own value now. I got out of $80,000 worth of debt right now and took the summer off after that. I helped my father move out and move into his own space. And now we both have our own space from a place of like honor and love. Relationships that weren't working, to remove yourself from it. It's a tough one, a really tough one. But that has happened. Healing from having abortions.
Oh, wow.
5 abortions, healing from that. Some really, really beautiful things that it's an mind-blowing, heart-blowing honor to think that I'm a part of that, to know that I am a part of that. Like, wow, right? And then the one I want to share a little more specifically, changing careers to a career you love more and that actually honors yourself and allows you to have time and not feel guilty about what you're spending your time with. Like as a mother, that was a big one. But this one woman, she realized, there was one part where she realized um, what she had been tolerating. And I'm going to go back to that word in a minute. And when she realized that she had been holding off on all these things in her life, like, she was in a job she didn't love. She wanted to be with her kids. She wanted to focus on her own business. They
Right.
were living in a house and just making excuses about when to do this remodel to it or do that painting to it or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And she realized, like, I'm tolerating this. I'm just living with it
Yeah.
because I'm afraid of lack, scarcity, this, that. Like, it was such a blind spot for her. And
Mhm.
and after she saw that, I mean, she was messaging me during the work, after the work, months after the work. She's like, we repainted the house. We remodeled the kitchen. I'm working my business and I'm only working part-time. And then she was like, now I'm working my business. And I say that this one is so powerful and because it's so common, because we live in a world where we just say it's fine. And this is what I really want to wake people up to and shake them to. Are you living your life at a fine level? And we forget, like, the water you swim in just becomes nothing unless you have a moment where you're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I'm living with this. Like, that was my moment with
Yeah.
my former husband. I was living with it. Friends would ask me, like, what are you going to do? Are you going to do something about this? When are you going to, like, do something
Yeah.
about this? And I'd be like, oh, I don't know. Oh, I'll know when I know. I mean, I said all those things, but I didn't,
Yeah.
because I just thought it was normal. I remember another moment. I had gone to pick up our older son from a birthday party, was a few doors down. Like, I just biked over there or whatever, a couple blocks over. And I'm sitting there and the kids are playing and the parents are like, oh, you want to sit and have a beer with us or something? I'm like, oh, sure. And I'm sitting there amongst grownups, like, 4 o'clock on a Sunday, whatever. And I look around and all of a sudden, first of all, I realize the thought I'm thinking, which is my husband going to be mad at me? Is he going to be mad at me for staying? Okay, that was one. And I was like, whoa. And the other one was, I was looking around and everything was normal. People were drinking beer and everything was normal.
Look,
And
no.
I had this wake up moment of, wow, other people don't live like I live, because it's never normal when there's alcohol involved at my house.
Right.
And I was like, oh. So when you get those wake up moments of, wow, I did put my dreams on the back burner for so long and now I feel numb. I would die for this, but I don't even think it's possible anymore. Like, when we have those moments of, this is what my life is, and I never thought it would be this, or I yearn for something more. When we wake up to that moment, it's like everything can change after that. But sometimes we just live that it's fine. It's fine.
The fine.
Someday I'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so much so part of our culture. How are you? I'm fine.
Yeah. Oh, here's another big one. Not to call out people, but sometimes in the South, but probably everywhere, right?
Mhm.
It's also, but I have so much I should be grateful for what I do have. I don't need more.
Yeah, that's crap.
You're not designed to just hit a plateau and be satisfied there.
No.
You're not. You
No.
are an infinite being who wants more and more. God keeps putting things, God's source of
Absolutely.
energy.
We want more. We want more food. We want more clothes. We want more.
Yeah, and not just to have a thing, but to experience our fullness and our experience here.
And we were meant to live an abundant life. God wants us to be happy. And it's not that we need things. It's just that the abundance is there. It's there for us. And so, we just, we shy away. We think we're not deserving or whatever.
Yes.
Oh my God. This is so good. You are such an authentic person. I love it. But I want to ask you, balancing being a mom, you're a speaker, you're a writer, and now a coach, that's all very demanding. How do you manage your time and energy effectively? How do you do that?
It's interesting. The first thing that came to me was, oh, I'm not all those things. Like, it automatically was in my head. I'm like, oh no. And then I was like, wait a minute.
You are.
I am doing those things. Okay. So, well, first of all, I'll say it is also a dance, right?
Mhm.
It's a dance. Sometimes things feel more balanced and sometimes they feel completely crazy. I also have a lot of really straight conversations with my children about, when mom needs mom things and mom time and how they can support it, or when I'm going to be totally with them. I've incorporated a lot of practices now around, like, this is when my phone is not present, right? Because they'll call me out. Like my kids are, on top of it. I tell them no screen time. They're like, well, mom. And I like sometimes have to explain like, okay, well, this is my job. It's like my business. I do sometimes have to use this device. And I respect what you're telling me. And these times will be for no phones for any of us because
Wonderful.
it's important to not do that. So I think it's, for me, really making sure there's like the separation of church and state, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And sometimes they blend, right? Like sometimes I'm on a call and my kid comes in or whatever, and I'm like, okay, well, hey, it's fine. And it really is fine for me. And I've worked on that part too, it being fine. This is life. Like I am a mother. I used to feel bad, like not being able to make an appointment at some time or telling people, oh, my kid, so I can't. I'm like, no, I actually love being a mom. It's one of the highest beautiful gifts I have, and I love it. So I'm not going to compromise that. I play with my children a lot. I love playing. Big player here. And my youngest son is super fun too. So we have a lot of fun together. And the other thing I'd say is I definitely keep a very intentional practice around connecting to source, divinity, all of that, because that is the root of all of it. And I definitely have been in places where it's like, not that I wasn't emotional, but like I didn't recognize and honor those feelings or the feelings in my body. Your energy and your body doesn't lie to you. So if there's something in your body, like this is a women saying no when you want to say no. I work with that a lot, because that just creates unease in our bodies, in our hearts, in our mind, in our soul. It really does. And so it's a retraining to be okay doing that, it really is.
Right.
But yeah, it's centering and then, looking at what's priority. I've cut out a lot of different things too that aren't, maybe they're a course or maybe they're something someone else wants me to do. And I'm like, how does that feel? If I'm a heck yes, I'll do it. If I'm then I'm not going to say yes.
Right. Good. So you have the tools to work with, and I'm sure you use a lot of these tools in your retreat. I want to talk about, because just for the sake of time, first of all I want to. Carmen has a comment here. It's so powerful to be able to say no when that is what we actually feel. Absolutely. It's so freeing, so freeing.
It's freeing, it's empowering.
Yeah.
It actually gives somebody else access to something else because then they get to, and it just, there's so much there. It's just beautiful. It can be hard. It can feel hard, but it's die. They're not going to die. We just have some healing and, retraining to do there, but it's all good.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about what's happening for you. I mean, you did talk about the podcast series. Can we talk a little bit about that? This is something in the future that you are planning, so necessary to be talking about all those topics. So can you talk to us a little bit about the podcast series that you have in mind?
Yeah, totally. So it's so interesting because I've had one for a little while. It's called the Soul Forge podcast, but I've been like my toe coming. I was like, I love podcasting. I love talking to people. I love all the things, but I'm like, what is it? So I kind of just like have been letting it sleep, because sometimes something has to just kind of come to you. Like Carmen said last week, allow it in, right? So the other day I'm on this call with these most amazing women, and they're literally sharing their hearts about some really tough stuff. And one of them said, it feels so good to be here in a place where you just feel like you're not alone. You're not the only one. And I was like, yes, right there. And so I'm playing around with titles because some of the words that I've heard are already out there. So I'm just allowing the name to come. But really, essentially, it is a conversation, a dialogue. And Carmen and I will sometimes be tag teaming. Sometimes it might just be me. Sometimes her. We're in creation mode too. Yeah. It's space for the shit that no one wants to talk about, that we're afraid to talk about, that we don't want to face, the stuff that actually holds us back from being a energetic woman. You want to be unleashing. Like, those words are great. But if you aren't actually going into you and knowing your worth and your value, you're never going to be out there unapologetic, because you always feel bad about yourself in some way, right? In some way. You could be a boss in some ways and a 4-year-old in another.
Exactly.
So it's giving the space to be heard, to be witnessed, to share that. Like I went through IVF, even the divorce, like, and I've always like, I love to write through and share some of the harder things in
Mhm.
life. Now I didn't write a lot about my divorce as I was going through it because I had to deal with my own anger and frustration and sadness too. And I didn't want to put that out into the world. You
Right.
know, IVF, I could talk about in a way that was cathartic and healing and not like, I'm not out to just be like, rage talk. Like, I
Yeah.
don't
That
care.
doesn't serve much.
It doesn't serve much.
Right.
But like now that I'm through it, I can actually have more of those
Right.
conversations and, thoughts about that. But yes, so it's a space for women to really share. So other people know they're not freaking alone.
Right.
Once you know that and you can let some of that ease up, then you have access to peace, to joy. Some people are just so numb because they've shut things down for so long. It's too scary. It's
Yeah.
too scary. No one has been a saint or perfect their whole life. I hate to break your bubble, but nobody has been that. So like you don't have to put that mantle on either.
Right.
Okay. You just don't, woman. You don't let it go. You don't have to do that.
That is so cool. I want to have you back on this show so that you could tell us about when you come up with this podcast name, because no, I swear to you, this is so necessary. I know, the shit that people don't like to talk about is what I got from you is like, that is so true. I mean, and that's exactly what we think about when we think about what's bothering us, and
Right.
we're so proper and we don't want to use that word, and it's like, but that's what it is. It's a lot of shit that needs to be
It
talked.
is. It is. And it's time to just put that
Yeah.
good girl, blah, blah, blah. Like,
Yeah.
just put it to bed. Put it to bed. Like, you are amazing. You don't have to worry about not being amazing. You just have to allow yourself to be you and yeah, Magda. I
I love
love it. I
talking
know, right?
about
Cooking is
this,
amazing.
and you soon will be talking about it, Magda. And so, yeah, Magda is just wonderful. Maybe
Yeah.
that's the title, the shit people
Maybe that is
don't
the
want to
title.
know about. You
I
know what?
did hear that earlier, Carmen.
When you said that, I thought, why does she just make that the title? Because it's so profound. I mean, I'm not going to go into it. I'm just going to let it go.
I love it. This will be a story I tell later about how this title came about. I'm like, well, here's how it happened.
Okay. Well, thank you, Carmen. And Magda, thank you for being here, and all of you. It's so great to have your support for that great title. She thinks it's a great title too, Magda.
You
Thank you.
got it.
Let-
Partnership.
Let's let's talk about your upcoming retreat, because this is so powerful. Tell us, first of all, the name of the retreat, what it's about, who it's for, why should people come to the retreat, and why should they follow you, the alignment coach? Can you
Yeah,
go into that a little bit for us?
sure. So I'm going to say that it's called the Walk Your Soul Path Experience. And the reason I call it this is because it is like a program with support with the retreat in it. And I'll
Okay.
tell you why the retreat's there. And I'll tell you why the calls are there, right? Because like I said a little bit earlier, sometimes we have to step away from all the normal things we have in our life, the partners, the children, the
Right.
work, the responsibilities, the thoughts that we constantly have, the habits, like all the normal routines, the
Right.
busyness, the calendar. Your brain can barely think, squirrel brain, blah, blah, blah. Is it a wonder why?
Mhm.
No.
Yeah.
And then also your soul actually needs space to be.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, people don't do that because first, I mean, there are so many distractions, right? It's so easy to just put a Netflix on or look at your phone 18 times a day or whatever the heck, right? Tell yourself you have to do laundry. No, you got clean underwear, turn them inside out, you're fine. You don't need to do laundry. But here's the real reason why it's hard and people don't do it is because they're afraid of what they're going to hear. You're afraid of what your soul might tell you that you really already know. If you're feeling dissatisfied, if you're feeling numb, if you're feeling frustrated, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling unease in your body, part of you that already knows, and you're afraid to listen. That's it. And it's not like, oh, that's it. Merry Christmas. There you go. I mean, that's tough.
Yeah.
I have places that have been hard to look at and hard, and I'm like, avoid, avoid, avoid. It's okay. It'll be fine. Maybe later. No, that part of you is talking to you for a reason, and it will not be quiet.
Right.
It will not be quiet.
So
And oftentimes, like, we do stuff it for a while, but usually somewhere around 40s, 50s, it starts showing up again. Like, okay, so you did some stuff and I let you go, do your thing.
Yeah.
But now I'm really going to talk to you louder because this is why you're here.
Yeah.
And you have to take more actions now, right? So when we courageously choose to give ourselves that space, that time to step away and to listen, it's powerful, because it's right there for you, inside of you. But like I said, you can't always hear it. So that's the retreat. You go out, you step away. And I'm telling you, it's not like, oh, I'll just take a weekend by myself, because you don't force yourself to look. Let's just not lie to ourselves. I'm not going to force myself to look half the time or to listen.
No, you
right?
just have to separate yourself. You do.
You do. And and so you do that. And then also, it's not like a girls' weekend. There are retreats that are amazing and awesome and wonderful. And there are girls' weekends that are amazing, awesome, and wonderful. And you should do those too. This is just not that.
No.
This is like, I really am ready for something in my life to change because I'm so unhappy right now, or a part of me is, or I know there's something more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. We're having a little.
How do I be authentic? How do I unleash the woman within? How do I show up in my, like, how do I choose me? How do I be the unapologetic version? Like, what the heck does that even mean in your living life? Life as lived, right? It's the name of my website, Life as Lived, because that's where it happens, in those moments of living. And so, and then that's the retreat. That's why you go to the retreat. That's why I have the retreat, and it's out in nature, because again, there's so much power. You feel minuscule and miraculous at the same time. And it's amazing. And the coaching around it is because there's no sense in going to a retreat and having this mind-blowing, heart-blowing experience and coming back and not knowing what to do with it. That's disempowering, and that'll take you right out and be like, I ain't doing that again. And I am committed to a person actually having the support they need to make those changes, because the changes, the doing the thing, is the scariest part, which is what we were afraid of to begin with, right? So the support is around, okay, you got this. Now, how do you integrate it into your life? And let's do that. So
I mean, what you're saying, it could apply to so many women who are busy, who are moms, who are entrepreneurs, who, I mean, so let's talk about how many you're thinking about this retreat and who you particularly would love to help in this particular circumstance of.
Yeah, totally. So there are 6 spots. And again, that's so beautiful because it's such an intimate setting. And so you can really like show up as you are and know you're in a safe container to be any way you need to be. Okay. So that's number 1. Thank you, Carmen. It's an honor, as it is to be with you. I love you so much. Carmen and I are soul sisters. We are.
I know you are.
And so it's 6 women. And then, it's for, it's like, who is this for? And first of all, if you've heard what I've said and you're like feeling the like,
that's for me.
Yes, oh yes, it's for you. It's totally for you. It is for a woman who is in that late, like, I don't even want to say later, but like, in that 40s range, 50s range, even into your 60s, where you're really intentionally wanting something different. You might feel exhausted.
Enough is enough.
Enough is enough. You might feel flatlined. You might feel like, what is the point here? Is this really? It's not. If you're feeling any which ways of that, or like, I've been successful at this career, but I know there's something else I want. You might know what it is. You might not know what it is, but that the role you've had and played is done. And here's the thing, my friends, like, I am going through parts of this even now, of the release of old dreams. Because listen, We have dreams, they're so beautiful, and we put our effort and our heart and soul into them. And then they either come to fruition the way we want,
Uh-huh.
like I got married, I had kids, I lived in Boulder,
Right.
Colorado, of a
Yeah.
dream. And
Yeah.
yet parts weren't all the dream. And so it got a bit shattered apart, right? And it's taken me a long time, and there are still parts that keep shedding off
Mhm.
of letting go of that dream. This is why we hold on to things like physical things. It's why we hold on to our mental space, shitty relationships. Like
Yeah.
there are so many things we hold on to thinking like, but that's the dream. It's not the whole dream. It's just a part of the dream.
Yeah.
And when we can let that part go and honor it and say, okay, there is something new here for me. Like that's so powerful and magical. So I actually can't remember what got me on that tangent. Um,
Well, I
something
asked
did.
you, yeah, but I think you've defined the who, and I think we've talked
Oh,
enough
okay.
about what is happening and what we need to change and how we feel that women will know that wow, this is for me. So tell
Oh yeah,
me,
I was gonna say, just like that was such a good click. The only thing I'll say to complete that is that you're not designed to just have one role
uh-huh,
and that's it, right? You're not. You are designed to have something more. You're designed to want more, evolve more in your being, in your soul, and all of that. So it's perfectly normal, okay, expected by source God that you would want something more right now.
absolutely,
You can be so grateful for everything you've had and done, and don't diminish it in any way, whether it's been good, bad, ugly, or any of the other things. Honor it. I'm ready for the next one. Let's go. The next dream, it's here. Let's go.
that is perfect. So when is this retreat going to be? Teresa, Magda says we are designed for more. Boom, absolutely.
Boom.
And Teresa, just yes, we limit ourselves when we hold on to old dreams. We are limitless. Um, our
Yeah,
opportunities are
we
limitless.
are. We
Absolutely.
forget that. We do forget that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you, thank you. So let's talk about the when of this retreat. It's so
Yeah, sure. It's October 5th through the 8th. So it's actually not this weekend, but the following weekend.
okay.
So right here.
So how can people join this? How can they contact you if they want more details? I mean, let me put this information. I almost forgot. Hold on a minute. Hold
Sure.
on a minute. Let me.
Yeah, you do that while I'm talking. Does that work? Oh, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
go.
okay. I wanted a tickler. This is how you can reach Jill. All right. You can message her on Facebook at Jill Winkler Douglas or go to her website, which is www.lifeaslived.org. Don't forget
Mhm.
that slash, it's important. And then, of course, the email jwinkinc at gmail.com. Hey, folks, don't worry. We're in the comments below after this video. We're going to put all of that information there. You will know how to reach out to get more details, or even we'll have a link in that comment for you to go ahead and join the retreat. Okay.
Yes.
So, Jill, is there something that I missed? Is there something that you want to say? Is there something, um, you know, um, maybe that you want a piece of advice that you want to give to women who might
Yeah.
who might not be able to go to your retreat, but
Yeah.
meet them with
Yeah.
the speech. Yeah,
Totally. First thing I would say, like, if this retreat isn't on the, like, first of all, if you're like, heck freaking yes, spontaneous action, go for it, then go for it. If it really feels aligned with you,
right.
don't feel like FOMO, don't feel any of that crap, because that's, do
Uh-uh.
that here. Homie, don't play that. So but you can absolutely connect with me if you've loved or heard anything here that's a match for you. You want to talk more, like, you probably are listening to this on Facebook. So just click on my little name, Jill Winkler Douglas, message me, we'll connect. What I will say is, I mentioned this before, we really are in a shevolution of the divine feminine. We really are coming into an age of following that inner wisdom, following that intuition, trusting it, teaching it more to our children. There is going to be a lot of crazy before all of the good, right? It's kind of like cleaning out your closet and you have an image of how great it's going to look. But when you start taking things out, you have all those thoughts of, why did I save this?
Yeah, right.
Oh my God, this looks terrible on me. Why, like, why did I buy this to begin with? Shame, guilt, ugh. And it looks like a mess. It looks like a disaster in your room at first, right? So that's the world right now. We are coming up against these old beliefs of working hard and doing it more, and burn the candle at both ends and do it by other people's rules. F other people's rules, people. No, you get to do you. That's why you are here, is to
There's a
do
new
you.
paradigm shift happening. Yes.
So just know that you're part of
Yeah.
all the women on here listening. You're part of, we're cleaning out the global closet. We are cleaning out the human closet here, and it looks ugly right now in places, right? It does, but it's happening. We're like, let's go. And we need more people who are going to say, I want to clean out the closet, and coming together and doing that in community, in solidarity, in finding your own sovereignty. That's the key. It's the ticket. It's everything. So you're part of this. And so I just want you to know that there's a big picture here going on. And so when you into this, you have all the powers of the universe actually straight up behind you always, but especially now. Okay. So that's number one, big picture. But for you, just you in your own life, right? Like, first of all, you're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you feel alone in this moment, you're not alone. And I'm here. Lucy's here. Carmen's here. People are here. People are here. And if you can't be live with a person yet, with the people right in the vicinity, connect with somebody you can. That is one of the nice things and beautiful things about technology. So you know that you're not alone. Second of all, I really want you to take a moment to either look at your eyes in the mirror, look at yourself straight up in the mirror, or just have one of those moments with yourself out in nature, ideally, or in your quiet self, and just ask yourself, is this all I'm here for right now? Or is there something in me that wants to come out? And your body will answer. There is something in you that will answer. And if you feel numb, know that that's probably because you've stuffed so long and tried to follow other people's rules for so long that you're just out of practice. And that part in you is a little nervous to show up and say, yeah, actually, I do want to
coach at this point. Yeah.
coaching. So get with other people, get in community, do it with other people. You can take the first step. You're never going to feel ready. It's always going to feel a little scary. We talk in my groups about befriending fear, just like link up arms, friends, because you're coming. The bigger parts of you are on the other side of the thing you are afraid of. It's always true. It's always true that there are parts on the other side of the fear that are there for you, loving you, supporting you, calling you through them. And that enough is enough. You have to fuel that. You have to fuel it and not just keep putting it to bed. Next time. Guess what? One day you're going to wake up dead. You ain't going to be here no more to do it next time.
That's right.
This
is not a dress rehearsal. There's only one time.
No, your soul is eternal, but you get this one life right now.
Absolutely.
So let's have some fun, So if you're in any of those spaces, I just want you to know there is a first step you can take, even if it's just starting to ask yourself that question and getting clear for yourself, and then connect with community. Start choosing you in the simple things, like what underwear do I want to put on? What shirt do I want to wear? What is one thing I can say no to today that I really don't want to do? Start small. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And yes, Carmen, your soul is calling for more. Your soul is calling for more. And your soul is bigger than you, knows more than you. So you should trust it.
Absolutely. You heard it from them. Absolutely. Okay. Jill, I just want to thank you so very much. Not only do I want to thank you, I want to thank Carmen. I want to thank Magda. I want to thank Teresa for being here. We love the support. It's always great to have the support, and we know how women when women come together, we
change the world.
We change the world. And so there you have it, folks. We will put all that information, like I said, in the comments below after this video. I just want to thank my awesome guest one more time. You can see how authentic she is. Wow, just go for it. All right. This is the right time, it's the right place, and it's the right person. All right. So thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Jill.
Thank you, Lucy.
Thank you. Thank you. And I want to thank my audience also for
Yes,
being
thank you so
here.
much for being here. I
Thank
love
you.
interacting. It's so fun. So thank you, ladies. It's an
Okay.
honor.
We'll say goodbye for now. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.